Hi, I'm Honey, and welcome to my Day 6 Surviving Mindcrack Island Retrospective. Ha! Pretty sure I got all that in there. There is so much to tell you guys. Oh my goodness. So, this day, I should just call this day I Feel the Love, I Feel the Love, I Feel the Love. It was just so night and day from the previous days. I suddenly started feeling like maybe I am not the one with the nonstop target on my face. And it was an interesting thing as the events unfold. So first of all, we start off with that really cool mini game with the creepers, and it's all dark and loomy down there and gloomy, and the creepers were supposed to be cleared, like go peaceful before we got dropped down. Then we drop down, and then they start spawning all around us. And it was like, who could survive the creepering the longest? And it didn't go peaceful. We were dropped in the middle of a mosh pit of creepers, and it was chaotic and it was fun. And you could hear Good giggling above us as he watched everything, and it was over way too fast. We were all like, do it again, do it again, do it again. It was great. It was a positive adrenaline burn. We got to have a good time. We got to kind of relax, and it felt like we were maybe, a group of friends or a group of streamers all together doing a mini game run together, like just hop on a server and do a mini game run. At that point, it didn't feel so much like a competition. It just felt fun. And I came third place, and Brian won this one. And I'm pretty sure that's when, that is when Good named him Juggernaut Brian or something like that. At some point, we heard that term, Juggernaut Brian. Are you worried about him winning and winning and winning? Remember, 3-2 and Brian had pretty much been the winners consistently, right? So anyway, so that was interesting. What I didn't know, but apparently from above they saw, when I was taken out, I just was like, whoa, creeper, turn around. And then I got stuck a little bit on the lip of the soul sand in the dirt, and there was another creeper. Bam, nothing I could do. It's like turn around and boom. Well, apparently the creeper that was in my face and went boom as soon as I turned around was punted to me from 3-2. Which I say, bravo, good sir. That's a hell of a move. And to have the presence of mind in the middle of all that to go, oh, hey, maybe I can knock this your way and take out my opponent. I thought it was pretty cool. I don't think there was poor sportsmanship at all. I thought it was just, yo, get away from me. And if I could land it near somebody, great. Up above, Dyer and the other guys that were up at the top, they could look down and see. They saw it, and Dyer called it. And all of a sudden it was, 3-2. Bad form. Did you just kill Honney? 3-2. And suddenly it was tut, shame on you. And he actually said later, 3-2 said, I felt like I lost some points with the group when I killed you. And I really feel like that put me in a position of danger. Interestingly enough, whether it was because they won a lot or because of that, it did come down to 3-2 and Brian on the famous book for names to go. So, here we go. The contest is over, the reward is given. Brian gets a full set of chain armor. Do with it as you wish. He asked who else has a weapon so that it could be divvied a bit. I said I had a golden sword. Now, maybe I was the first person that he heard. Maybe he really wanted to kind of share it with me. Maybe it was, I don't know what his thought process was. But he just went, okay, here you go, honey. I want to share this. And I got half of his reward. Half. Not a piece. Not a quarter. Half. That's significant. That also I believe that led a bit to my bloodlustiness. I'm like, yeah, I got armor, baby. I got a weapon, baby. Let's go over there and smack some things. And I did venture off by myself and nearly get killed, which was not a good plan. I admit this. But bloodlust is strong, right? And all of a sudden I felt like, yo, I got some gear. Okay, I can do this. Now, on top of that, 3-2 immediately sought me out, said, honey, here's some cookies. Gave me like 3 or 4 cookies, whatever it was. Gave me some cookies and said, I'm really sorry that I did that with the creeper and I took you out. And he instantly wanted to try to be like, I'm sorry, I feel bad, I shouldn't have done that. But if it's any consolation, I try to do it to Brian too, and karma, man, it popped in my face. I told him then, and I stand by it. Good move. It's still a PvP thing, right? And I think it was well played. I think it was well played. I don't feel like he broke any rules. I don't feel there was any rule to break. It was just live and don't get creepered, right? But he really felt like he took a hit with an opinion hit with the team. They maybe thought less of him for that. So Brian gives me half his armor. 3-2 gives me a bunch of cookies and apologizes for his part in my death in an individual reward competition. Then Desi, just before it turns night, and we're all talking about, okay, let's consolidate this, let's consolidate that. Everybody was sort of working together, and some people, we're just, hey, I've got this, you've got this, let's share, let's get ready, let's talk strats, dodge the water, go this side. And I think Dyer's the one who said reed side versus the other side, so we could differentiate which side of the water, which side of the shore was the problem. And then just before it turned night, just before that crazy battle, Desi whispers, "Honey, yeah." And he tells me he wants me to be on the server. Essentially, he tells me, I want you to win this, or I think you would be good on the server with the Mindcrack guys. He had tried to tell me this before. There was another part where where he was trying to say something to me about the server, and we got teleported, and I wasn't quite sure if he said, I don't want you on the server, or I want you on the server. He was trying to tell me the same basic message, but I didn't quite get it, and I was never clear on, was that an encouragement, or was that don't even think about it, I don't want you on the server. Now, obviously, that would not have been a very good move to be like, yo, I don't think Mindcrack, needs you. But in my head, already feeling like people were gunning for me, it was easy for me to be like, oh, he just told me he doesn't want me on the server. You know what I mean? And so I wasn't sure what he said, so I was just sort of left to like, okay, well, Desi's trying to tell me something. Let's just neutral that and not sure, right? But he made it very clear, I want you on the server. And it was like, flat out, first person to flat out say, I want you to be there. I was just flabbergasted. I tried not to cry. It's like, oh my goodness. Day 5, and I was still like, wow, I'm people hate me, or I'm being gunned for, I gotta be really careful, or I'm in the mix, or anything. And suddenly, I've got red team giving a guy from my team giving me half of his reward. I've got a guy from my team giving me a bunch of food and apologizing publicly for what he for a move that he made in a game, which I feel was valid. I've got another red team member telling me he wants me to be in it, to win it, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, encouragement. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Now, at some point, Dyer passed me a book as we were kind of shuffling around in the cookies and we were sorting things out before it got dark, before Desi caught my ear. And the book said, sorry, your call, Brian or 3-2. So all of a sudden, this little spy thing is flat out, you made the call this time. And I'm like, isn't Brian immune? Because he had just won. My brain was just like, Brian immune. And we don't like, there wasn't even, you didn't have time to like even spell check it, right? It's like immune. I think we even have an I on there, and I chucked it back. So now it goes tonight. So I know it's 3-2 or Brian on the chopping block. I'm assuming it's because they are both really good PvPers and they've consistently won things. So then we're out there and it's night and we have all the epic fights and all of the darkness and all the invisible mobs and the crazy stuff, right? At some point, it's just about dawn and the group breaks apart. Desi, Ron and I are separated. And everybody else is another way. And you just, because you're fighting and you're moving and you're in the water and you're out of the water. So we are wandering around the island going, oh, they're not here. Okay, let's go back for tree mail. Oh, tree mail is taken. So we were like just missing the other half of the team. And at some point, Desi got separated from Ron and I. And so now it's Ron and I, and we're walking and we're talking about various things. And he brings up, so did you see the book? And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, because I know in retrospect, watching the other perspectives, that, hey, Ron was brought in on this. Hey, Ron was probably the one who voted out Vaughn. Hey, wait a minute. Ron has been talked about with big kind of allianced up with Dire and Dark. Okay, news to me. I'm like, oh, I saw a book. And I'm like, now I don't know if he saw the book that Dire passed to me, and he's part of that, or if he just saw it and is like, so about that book. So the way he says it, I'm like, yeah, right? And I'm really not sure what I'm getting into right now. Because again, I'm not good at the spy stuff. And he's like, and he says, who else has seen it? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, what he said was Dark. As far as he knows, Dire's only Dark has also seen it from Dire. I thought at the time that he had seen a book that had Dark Fan's name on it, which is not the book that I saw that had Lorgon and 3-2. And so I was like, is there another book? Wait a minute, are you not on our side? Are you not on like this loose three-way alliance thing, blue team kind of unspoken alliance thing? Are you being played some other way? Are you talking about a different book? Duh. In editing, I'm like, oh, he saw the book and he's telling me that Dire was the only, or that Dark was the only other person that he knows also saw the book. So he's trying to tell me that, hey, I'm in on this. I've seen the book too, and Dark and Dire and you, the four of us have all seen the book. I didn't get it, so I thought there was a second book. So of course, it comes time for the next day, and we go through the next day, which is an immunity challenge, and this time Brian's reward actually bit him in the butt because he had an axe and he's tired and we're going through, and he basically just breaks on through, and he broke a fence that we weren't supposed to break. Now I just mindlessly plowed through that. I didn't think, I didn't strat. I was just like punch. I played it bad, right? And I kicked myself over that the whole rest of the day, and I told everybody how dumb I was, right? Smooth game moves, right? Anyway, so the next day after that, we're all kind of like, okay, we got some time to chill. Brian was taken out. Dark Fan is the one who actually won the immunity challenge. I was out fairly quickly. No big surprise there. And we're back to our, okay, let's just fish and, spend some time. So people went over here to go look for the chests. Those of us who had fishing rods stayed at the water. Those of us who had fishing rods were Brian, 3-2, and me. So I am sitting between the two people on red team who I know their names are in the chopping block. During the middle of the night, I need to back up for a second, and all that crazy fight, a Dire fan met, wow, I just mushed Dark and Dire. I'm always saying Dark instead of Dire and Dire instead of Dark, and now I just said Dire fan. That's a new one. Dire kind of pulled me aside in the middle of the fight, and he's like, over here, honey, over here, and we're fighting and stuff. And then he drops the book again, and this time the book says Brian, unless he's immune, Brian, or something like that. So basically, Brian is the name up. Unless he's got immunity, then we'll default to 3-2. So I now have this book in my possession. The next day, and I'm like moving it so I don't casually just, mouse over it in my bar or flash it. So I move it to my inventory so I'm not flashing it. It's like, okay, so Brian is it. Now, it's the next day. I know that these are the two guys that are on the chopping block and that it's going to come down to Brian because he is not immune. He did not win immunity. I'm also sitting next to these two teammates who shared and gave me stuff. And we're chatting, and I know what's going to happen. Awkward! So eventually, in time, Brian brings it up, and he's just like, I'm just going to put it out there. There's a lot of deals and stuff talked about last time. None of that ended up happening, so I'm just going to, I'm not really into that anyway. I'm just going to say, if you guys have something to say, now's a good time. And that's kind of when 3-2 got to say I really felt like I lost some face. I could really hear the whole group going, boo. And I realized that, these guys are thinking the same thing I'm thinking. These guys are like, oh, everybody's got fussy with that. They're just as nervous and just as tired and just as vulnerable as I'm feeling. And I'm sitting there going, you guys haven't done anything bad to me. You've been so good to me. And I know I'm going to be voting for Brian. At the same time, in my mind, I am kind of aware that, he's won a lot. Juggernaut Brian is in my head. It's like, he could be, one of these power players. He could be one to beat. I think, maybe he would be a good one to vote off after all. I can see, okay, I'm good with this. And I'm making that decision to be like, yeah, okay. And at the same time, we're talking. And it's nothing personal at all. He is such a nice man. He's such a nice guy. He was so mellow. He's not assuming. He's very, or aggressive in any way. He's just very, very pleasant and very happy and content to not really push, and yet has a quiet dignity and leadership about him. I really liked Lorgon, aka Brian. Dr. Brian, Lorgon. I really thought he was a good person. And I kind of looked around and I thought, you know what? Everybody here is a good person. Everybody here is eventually going to have to, I'm going to have to consider them as a name on the paper. And it really was kind of sad and I kind of felt cold-hearted at that moment. I'm like, wow. I just made the analytical decision that, yeah, I'm going to go with this call. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to toe that line, and it's a good choice, and it's going to get me one step farther. And it was like, wow, it comes to this. And of all the things, I'm smack dab between the two people. I was just waiting for one of them to say about that book we saw passed around. I'm like, oh, please don't mention the book. Please don't mention the book. Thankfully, they didn't. One last thought about this day. And I'm pretty sure it happened after the immunity challenge when we were waiting for our interviews. So the night had already happened. The book had been passed back and forth a couple of times. It was already kind of decided who the names were. And Doc M, bless his heart, says where anybody in that bedrock box can hear, we saw the book, guys. Dude, shut up! Interference? Outside interference? Shh! What book? So when I was talking to them, I was actually like, I didn't know who else heard it. I know for sure. I mean, some people were already pulled for interviews. Dyer and I were both talking at that moment, so for sure the two of us heard it, and I was just like, Please don't talk about the book. Please, 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 please don't ask to see the book, because what do I say then? They didn't, though. Whew, dodged a bullet. So anyway, one last thing I remembered at the last minute that I wanted to point out was, oh, you didn't. Oh. And I'm sure you got scolded about, let's not talk about that. And the interviews with Sano were just great. Sano's like, I don't care about these questions. Let's talk about the book. Let's talk about Desi. What brought on him wanting you on the server? I don't know. I still don't. But I appreciated it. I kind of needed it right then. So it was a little bit overwhelming. That I really, truly did almost cry when Desi had said that. It was just like, wow. And, we're all a little emotional. We're all really drained. We're all really tired. It had been so long. And, like I said, this whole day should be day 6. Honney gets love. Anyway, that's how I was feeling about it. And I know this probably went way too long, but there's a lot of stuff and things that happened in this day, so bite me. Anyway, that's it. Hope you guys had fun. Bye.